The host of nationally syndicated radio show Echo Talk, Betsy Rosenberg.
Yeah, what is it about the IPCC that they cannot spell? I'm sure that they've read the reports. It's actually 90 to 99% agree with certainty. It's a consensus document. That's the whole point of the IPCC report. They have to come together and agree. So many people say it's actually a conservative estimate, and they're saying it's beyond a reasonable doubt that it is real, that it's arrived, and that humans are causing it. And it really shouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how that happens, given the CO2 that we're putting out.
In the 30-year agreement, according to Gore's office, that he signed, that there could be no legal recourse. Even if he wanted to cancel that agreement, he couldn't do it. Finally, when he could, he did sell the mine, and he's asked that going forward there be as much ecological greenness as possible in the dealing with that mine.
By the way, that newspaper article was not meant to discredit Al Gore. If you read it all the way through, they say that this operation had a clean record. There were no major environmental or health problems. Now, of course, mining is not a clean industry, or practice, but Al Gore inherited this from his father on the land that he inherited it, and you said he can't get out of the lease if he wanted to, and he's now taking the right action. But it's skirting the issue. You guys are getting your knickers in a twist because he's going to be testifying about some truths this week, so you're digging back into his past and now coming up with a zinc stink. And I'm not going to sit here.
I'm tired of it. I'm sick of the hypocrisy.
Well, you know what? I'm sick of America being celebrity crazed. So if we're just going to be focused more on celebrity life than science,
they're the ones lecturing us to bring our bags to the grocery store.
Their time in the spotlight to bring attention to what they're doing. It all begins with us.
Wait a minute.
And it's not something to laugh about that anyone, celebrity or average citizen, is doing their part. Kate Blanchett at least is facing the issue head on. She's saying she's going to take Navy showers, 2-minute showers. If every American did that, we would be seeing every American saving 15,000 gallons of water a year.
Betsy,
and if you have true conservatives out there, I'm sure that would be a good conservation tip.
One of the things they say is DVDs, computers, and TVs, you should unplug them from the wall. And I'm going to bet you most people stop before that step.
I don't know about the computer because, gosh, I hate to mess with that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about things like toasters and the, Stairmaster, things you don't use every day. They're actually sucking energy. It's called the vampire effect, even when they're in the off position, so that when you click the on button, it goes in immediately. Okay. That's how impatient we Americans are. We want it now. So that actually, while you're sleeping, while you're on vacation, while it's not being used, it's actually using energy. A little bit, but a little bit in one household adds up to a lot, and then each house on every block.
Especially if you're on vacation, even for a weekend if you go
so
away.
So go around and the infrequently used
Right.
appliances, items, unplug them, and then you'll remember to plug them back in next time you need to use them.
Okay. The plastic bags in San Francisco, now, are you glad to see that? Because now they're saying the alternative is not going to be so good.
Thrilled, because the whole nation is watching. As San Francisco goes, so goes the rest of the nation, hopefully faster than it has been. But if they can do it here, they can do it anywhere. And there were some incentives for buying hybrid cars. They're starting to phase those out because I think it's becoming apparent, more obvious, the inherent incentives, which is a cleaner environment, a better tomorrow, energy savings, cost savings. Even if they're not major financial savings, the environment has to be factored in. The environmental costs of doing business as usual is growing. I remember sitting on the lawn at Saratoga High School, and the first Earth Day gave me a new awareness of just the grass I was sitting on, the dirt. And I suddenly had a respect for Mother Nature. When people say, how did you get this way, Betsy? I remember in elementary school seeing kids throw their lunches away uneaten. That gave me almost a visceral response. And people running water, that just always bothered me. And then it wasn't until much later that the latent gene became manifest when I married my husband, and he would shave and brush his teeth while the water was running untouched by human hands for 10, 15, even 20 seconds. So I would start going, and after a year of conditioning, he said, I'm only one guy, it's a big planet, go use your 50,000 watt radio job and, spread the guilt.
Spread the guilt.
Change begins with not only information, because there is a lot of information out there, but inspiration, connecting the dots, showing people why it matters what kind of car they drive or what kind of products they purchase, and everything from finding renewable energy options to greener cars, organic food. There's now movement to get trans fat out of food. Well, we're also finding out that there's a lot of toxic chemicals in our cosmetics and cleansers. So consumers have a big say, but you need to know what to look for and what to avoid in order to make the right decisions. If we don't make the future green, there will be no future. So it's really that simple. And so, in short, everything needs to change. The good news is that creates jobs and revenue and opportunities. And as Paul Hawkins says, in a way, it's a great time to be alive.